We hear talk of a global elite ushering in a new world order. This is where conspiracies intertwine with reality, where the lines between control and chaos blur. In this realm, the collapse of systems is not a failure but a strategy to usher in that new world order. But what, if any, evidence is there that such a network exists? Time to shine a light on things visible and invisible. Allan, the last time we spoke, you painted a rather dystopian picture of the world we live in, with global elites controlling our destinies, our futures, and our presents. You also gave us a little explanation of how we've got to this stage. What I'd like to talk about today is more the way in which we're living today, whether we have given control to these people, but also where this future new world order, global elite are taking us. Ultimately, I know you've talked about this in your book. So let's start with the present. Let me pose something to you, because I'd really like your opinion on this. There are people in this society, you know them and I know them, who actually want the government to control their lives, okay? That actually want the big corporations to control their lives. They want their lives sorted out. They don't want to have to think. So the idea of a global new world order for them is probably something, a shrug of the shoulder, as long as they can have the quality of life that they want. Is that too simplistic a view of many of our fellow citizens today?
Well, I think it's probably accurate for some, but not for the people who are really thinking and who are the people who can kind of shape society and make it a better place. There are some who are just going along for the ride and they want everything to be easy. There are others, though, who are leaders, independent business owners, people who are well-read and are curious about the world, who would never settle for that, would never settle for that if they knew what was the intent of these globalists for the rest of us. Down through society, we have had tyrants, and we don't have to look back that far. Just go to Germany and Hitler as one easy example everybody can pretty much relate to, of how society can change rapidly. I mean, Germany was probably the leading power in Europe, or certainly one of them at the time. And it kind of snuck up on them, too, with their normalcy bias. They couldn't believe that this would happen. And yet there it was, the trap was sprung. And, all of a sudden this tyrant is in complete power. Well, my question is, have tyrants gone away? Has the world become a better place to the extent that we're less likely to have tyrants? The problem today is that a tyrant has the ability to leverage power through technology, through surveillance, through coercion, through banking, and being able to tie, to let's say debank somebody. The level of surveillance and the banking system and the type of control that is possible today is unlike anything in the past. I mean, I think there is no rational reason to think that tyrants couldn't come into power. And in today's environment, it's more dangerous than ever. So we have to be more alert than ever and be watching for it. Because I believe the temptation is probably greater than it ever was for somebody of that mindset, because they can leverage power in a way we've never seen before.
But in a way, Allan, haven't we sort of created this problem partly for ourselves? I mean, we all love the convenience of the internet and various other things that just make life so much simpler. Our parents and our grandparents' generation, for example, when they wanted to do banking, they had to go to a physical bank and they had to write out things and get physical money. Today, people can do it all online, and they seem to prefer that. And so many other examples. What I'm trying to say is that, yes, I agree with you that the tyrant has never had more ability to control people's lives, but there seems to be an element within society that has just ceded that to these people. And I ask the question then, in light of that, Is it inevitable that this new world order, as you've postulated in your book, is about to sort of come to pass, partly through inertia and partly because, well, actually it's easier for a lot of people?
Yeah, I guess I'm more hopeful than that. I mean, it certainly could be exactly as you described it, that it will come to pass because they have so much power and momentum toward it. But I believe that in our heart of hearts, everybody wants to be free. And if they see it ultimately as the end to your personal freedom, where you're on a system similar to what's in place in China with a social credit score that controls your privileges, how far you can travel, if you can travel, whether your kids can attend a decent school or not, whether you'll have job opportunities or not, because your social credit score holds you back because you're not towing, the corporate line, so to speak. You're not in harmony with what they want. If people see that as the trade-off, like it's my freedom that we're talking about here, then I think the pushback will be much greater. And it's a little bit like, unfortunately, it's a little bit like Alice in Wonderland or the Matrix kind of situation where until your eyes are opened, you can be blissfully unaware of it. But once you take the red pill and see what's really going on, then you can't unsee it anymore. And your eyes are opened and you become committed. So, like if I know somebody's trying to harm a family member of mine, I'll be on that in an instant, in a heartbeat. But if I don't know what's going on and it's all kind of behind the scenes and things are convenient and whatever, and I'm just kind of in my dream world, I won't be alert. But that's why I believe the main thing here is to wake people up, to become alert. And if we can do that, there will be a pushback. And I do think we're seeing it actually, but it has a long way it needs to go yet.
When was the moment in your life, Allan, when suddenly your eyes were opened?
Well, I had an event that was actually the whole reason this book came about for me personally. I mean, I've been a news junkie, so I've been somewhat aware of these things. And I've been also very concerned about what I saw at the southern border in the past 4 years going on with, I'll call it the invasion of the United States. And I was aware of the same thing in Europe from 2011 forward in Europe. And that deeply troubled me and perplexed me. Like, why would anybody do this? But the turning point for me was in April 2024 when I woke up at 4 a.m. and I had this instant flash of knowledge. And I'll give you the short version of 11 collapse points, 11 pillars of society that were under attack. I was wide awake. This came to me just before I was getting out of bed to use the bathroom. I had this flash of 11 points. I wrote them down, but they were so strong and clear that I really was completely motivated to just do the research to find the evidence for efforts to collapse these particular 11 pillars of society. And that's the reason for the book. I was so motivated that I run a small business, but I used every spare moment of my time. That happened in April. By the beginning of September, I was done with the book. I mean, I was on fire to write it. I was just completely motivated. And I believe personally, my personal belief is that was God revealing that to me. Didn't hear any words, didn't see a vision. It was just like an instant knowledge with incredible clarity. That was my turning point. But then as I researched the information, I really became convinced. Until I'd researched it, it was kind of hard to believe. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's putting it mildly, Allan. I mean, for a lot of people who are coming to this for the first time, there's a kind of head scratching around this. What sort of reactions have you had to your book?
Well, they've been mostly good. The reviews on Amazon are very good. The people that actually leave a review, all but one, that was a very good review. But personally, from people that I've given it to, so one of them was a woman who's a friend of mine. Now, she knows me, so she knows I'm an honest person. So that probably made it easier for her. But she was totally unaware of any of the things that this book is about. All right. She read it and she is like, oh my God, this is incredible. She said the QR codes with the videos, linking to the videos, which there's 100 videos it's linked to, and about 70 other documents and articles. She said those were the proof for me. Seeing was believing. But she said, now that I see how the world really works and what we're up against, I have a lot of decisions to make. And for her, it was pretty life changing. I actually ran into her husband yesterday. It's funny. We were talking about it. He said, it's a really good book. I enjoyed reading it. And I said, well, I said her name. I don't want to say it here. How's she doing? And he goes, well, she's had her eyes open. You really stirred her up, So yeah, he was joking, but yeah, it is. It's eye opening. Most people find it eye opening.
Well, I mean, I think that that's one of the reactions that you're going to have to a book like this. Another reaction, I assume, Allan, though you will guide me on this, is maybe one of sort of a depression or a sense of hopelessness. That if there are these global elites pulling the strings at every turn, we're nothing more than sort of puppets in this play. Do you find that as well, that some people just sort of throw their hands up in the air and say, what can we do about this?
I haven't gotten that from anyone who's read the book. I've gotten that reaction from people who are afraid to read the book.
Right.
Like I just don't want to go there. That's too dark. But if you read the book, there's actually hope in it, because I do believe that through an awakening, we can push back. I mean, just look at what happened in the election in the United States. Enough people were upset enough about the direction of the country that was a massive shift, right? And the awareness is rolling out, and now new things are being divulged. And, there's this effort to, kind of cleanse the government, let's say, of corruption. There's a real desire and a momentum toward that. And that's all because of the awakening. In the book, I get into faith, not fear. That one of the things that's essential to becoming resilient toward this kind of a challenge is to develop your faith, is to come into faith and to learn to rely on God and not just yourself. We're not in this alone. That's my personal belief. We are not in this alone. We have a God that loves and cares about us. He doesn't want mankind to be enslaved. We can call upon him, and we can also band together and support each other and push back. And so the book's broken up into 4 parts. The last part is all about resilience and coping and what do we do about it. And I personally have a lot of hope, but I can understand how someone would have that trepidation of even going into the topic.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into that a little bit, Allan. Somebody who's watching this program tonight, they are a little bit despair now of the world, or they've maybe looked at your book as well, or aspects of your book. What's the building blocks for a different world order? The sort of world order that maybe you've, in reverse, those 11 pillars in your book. What would you say is the starting point for somebody who wants to put it in the vernacular, fight back?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is spreading the word and creating, helping to create a tipping point at which the governments will not be able to pull this off. Okay, but in the big picture, this is really a fight between what you could call globalism versus nationalism. And by nationalism, I simply mean sovereign, independent nations where the people who are running those nations are concerned primarily for the welfare of their citizens and doing what's right for them. In other words, the way we always thought the world was supposed to work. So we have to become focused on helping our community, and then outward from the community, the bigger area, let's say the state, the country. And we do have an obligation to people in other countries as well, maybe when there's earthquakes or other things, to help. But the focus needs to be each country doing what's best for their country. And the globalists don't see it that way. I mean, that's why so much money pours outside the country for all their pet projects, And these are not projects for the welfare of mankind. They're projects basically for them to gain more and more control. But we have to think about, for me, the key was not thinking about myself and not so much about what do I have to do to prepare, but more how can I help others and help others prepare and help others, push back, have their eyes opened. And so when we go from a position of fear to one of giving, everything changes. And our burning desire becomes to spread the word and to try to stop these things from happening. And, in the U.S., I think we can see at a governmental level that some of these 11 collapse points that I talk about are actually being addressed. Not all of them, but some of them are being addressed. And my hope is that this book will come into the hands of somebody in government that will have the power to help focus, to put plans in place to shore up each of these 11. And I think personally in our own life, we can think about how can we shore up each of these as well and become aware of what's going on so that we don't fall victim to some of their schemes, right, to prepare. So, from the medical system, we see what happened during the COVID crisis. And we were all taken in by that at first, right? And we all bought into it probably it's to some degree at first. It was only as time went on that some people had their eyes opened and they started to push back. But now we're on the other side of that, so we should learn lessons from that. But, there's things we can do in each of these areas, whether it's banking and finance, privacy, security, food supply, faith and self-identity for us, for our children. There's things we can do to build up for each person to build up their own strength, but then to help the community, to help those we love, those around us, our friends, and ultimately the larger government, for them to have a plan to shore these up too.
Allan, unfortunately, we have again run out of time. Tell people where they can find out more about you and also pick up a copy of your book.
Sure. So if you want to learn a little bit more about me, go to authораproberts.com. I encourage you to go to the website for the book, globalcollapsebook.com. And for those who listen who are in the U.S., they can use code TVI on the checkout if they want to purchase a signed copy or sets of signed copies. It's all discounted at or below the Amazon price for an unsigned copy. So I hope you'll go there, check it out. There's also a link called 11 Pillars, where you can see the 11 pillars of society and the graphics from the book on those pillars. So I hope you check it out.
Allan, thank you so much for coming on Things Visible and Invisible.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Things Visible and Invisible. We're dedicated to uncovering phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality, from ancient enigmas and paranormal encounters to scientific anomalies and forgotten histories. If you enjoyed this journey into the mysterious and unexplained, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to stay updated on future explorations. Have a personal experience or story that aligns with our investigations? We'd love to hear from you. Visit our website at tvi.show and reach out through our contact form. While we can't feature every submission, we review them all, and your story might be featured in an upcoming episode. To support our continued investigations, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter or channel member. Your contributions make these explorations possible and give you access to exclusive content, early releases, and monthly behind-the-scenes discussions with our team. Don't forget to check out our merch store. We've got everything from TVI-branded t-shirts and hoodies to stickers and coffee mugs, perfect for showing your support while keeping the mysteries close. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time as we continue to explore the things visible and invisible.